Man, I'm tired watching that. Haven't watched that game. So this is going to be a bit of a strange post game here. Yes, the Knicks did play a game tonight, and yes, they lost that game. But we're going to talk about what actually happened in the game. But it's been a huge day here. It's been a draining day if you've been a part of it since the morning. And I have to, before I say anything else, I have to give a shout out to all of the Knicks Film School newsletter subscribers, because I started a chat in the Substack chat this morning. It is up to almost 1,750 replies. I have a funny feeling we're going to get to 2,000 before the end of the day or before midnight. So shout out to those guys who have been keeping that alive and kicking since, again, in the AM. What a day, what a night, what a game, honestly. What else is there to say about the toughness and the grit and the fight and the just complete lack of quit that this group continues to show. It's not always perfect. The last game against the Memphis Grizzlies, like the Grizzlies were the one that had that it was they don't think it's a damn show. They think it's a damn fight. Well, tonight the shoe was on the other foot. And like I know whatever the final score was, 118 to 1 or 122 to 108. So whatever, 14-point final margin of victory. Like if you watch this game, first of all, it was a single-digit game, 8-point game with under 3 minutes and 30 seconds to go. Despite the fact that you had a Mavs team that, I know that they were a little bit undermanned, but they still had Luka Doncic and they still had Kyrie Irving. And as far as I'm concerned, it took every bit of Luka's usual magic, and he is a magician. There's no two ways about that. There's nobody else in the league who could quite do what he does. But it took every ounce of that Luka magic to put the Knicks down. I mean, as we were there in the fourth quarter, and it was Luka Doncic and Josh Hart going back and forth with dueling three-pointers, I was like, what is this? But seriously, like Luka needed to come up absolutely huge. Doncic, he played 40 minutes in this game. Think about that. And I know he plays 40 minutes a lot. I know playing entire second halves is like the norm, or is not abnormal for him at the very least. But I would bet that if Jason Kidd had his druthers, he probably would not have wanted to play Luka for as many minutes as he did tonight, and yet he had to. Because if he didn't play Luka Doncic all those minutes, the Knicks might have stole this game. That's how close it was. That's how competitive the Knicks were. That's how competitive this team is. To talk about the game for a moment, which, again, I don't know how much we need to dive into other than to say phenomenal effort by all the guys, and thank the good Lord that there are reinforcements on the way. But, what are we supposed to do with this DiVincenzo thing at this point? Because 36 points tonight, took a dozen attempts from behind the arc, made 7 of them, chipped in 3 assists as well. Like, he was their primary shot creator. And typically speaking, when a guy, the classic corollary or the classic example of what I'm about to say, whereas when you give a guy a lot more usage and you make him the main focus as opposed to the second or third or fourth focus, which is what Donte DiVincenzo is when he's usually on the floor with Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle, and he's either him or OG Anunoby. Like when you move a guy up to the first focus of the opposing defense, they're not supposed to get better. Look at Jordan Poole. That's the example that I'm going to go to. Look at what Jordan Poole has done this year in Washington, where before the year, people took what he did in Golden State, ironically, when he was a teammate of Donte DiVincenzo last year, and we're like, oh, he's going to lead the league in scoring now. And because fallen completely flat on his face. Now, look, DiVincenzo hasn't had to do this all year. So, yes, let's keep it in context. But, like what this guy's doing with an increased offensive responsibility, where he was the second offensive option alongside Jalen Brunson for the all the games since Julius Randle and OG Anunoby went out, and tonight he was the first. And for him to do what he did, look, I know the conversation, part of the conversation about this trade is, yes, they replaced Evan Fournier with some more continuous soup, some better tasting continuous soup, and they didn't give away any, or they didn't trade away any first round draft picks today. Haven't traded away any first round draft picks all year, and so those are right there for them. And like, yeah, there's another move coming, and maybe beggars can't be choosers. I said it a little bit recently on another post game, and I'll say it again. They better think long and hard before they replace Donte DiVincenzo in this starting lineup. And I'm talking about with anyone. Because show me the top-notch NBA offense that does not have an absolute dead-eye shooter somewhere in there. And if you could combine two dead-eye shooters, which I think Jalen Brunson, it's a different kind of shooting gravity than DiVincenzo, but two dead-eye shooters in different ways. And you can combine those guys in the same backcourt, and DiVincenzo gives you a little defense, a little bit more than a little defense, and is just so eminently comfortable playing off the ball, but quite clearly is also fairly comfortable playing on the ball. Like, you know, I don't know, man. I'm kind of at a loss because he's just come in and blown away every conceivable expectation. And I thought tonight was really cool for him to put that on display, full display for a national audience. He's the star of the game, the big takeaway of the game for sure. Went toe to toe to Luka Doncic. I mean, what else is there to say? As for other players, I mean, I obviously down to 8 players going into the game, 8 healthy players, and then after halftime down to 7 healthy players. And even that was deceiving because one of those players was Jacob Toppin, who pretty apparent tonight that Tom Thibodeau did not feel was ready to contribute to winning, as it were. So for all intents and purposes, in the second half of this game, the Knicks played with 6 guys. And they played with like 7.5 guys in the first half. But yeah, 6 guys more or less in the second half of this game. And yet, the Knicks were basically even with the Mavs until the final 2 minutes and change, playing with 6 guys. And let me, to refresh anybody's recollection who may need it, those 6 guys, Donte DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, shout out to him, 20-point triple-double, did not have the best game. There were some frustrating Josh Hart moments. I've said it on the live stream. I'll say it again now. There's no one in the world, there's no one in the universe who's happier with this trade today than Josh Hart, because Josh Hart needs a breather. And I'm not about to sit here and get on Josh Hart for some of the, not so great moments tonight. Most of them happened in the early on in the game. Thought he got better as the game went on. Had that little spurt to start the third quarter. Obviously, he was hitting those threes in the fourth quarter. But like, Josh Hart is overextended. So whatever criticism you want to levy at Josh Hart for what he doesn't do or what he doesn't, do well enough, like, the dude is beyond overextended. So really nice game from Josh Hart. So it was DiVincenzo, Hart, Deuce McBride, who took a career high 20 shots tonight. DiVincenzo tied his career high with 26 shots. Some really nice moments from Deuce. Obviously, he had the dunk. That was awesome. And you would have loved to see him go more than 1 of 8 from 3. And if he does make a few more of those threes, I mean, who the hell knows? Maybe we're talking about a different result tonight. And then Precious Achiuwa. And those guys played 43, 39, 45 minutes for McBride and 41 for Precious Achiuwa. They really, I didn't know if Achiuwa or McBride was going to come out in the second half. And I actually don't believe McBride came out in the second half. So all those guys at 40 or 39 minutes or above. And then Hartenstein only played the first half, 15 minutes of the first half. And then off the bench in the second half, Taj. You think Taj thought he was going to be running up and down the court for 22 minutes in a game against the freaking Mavs when he signed his second 10-day contract? Or not his second, because it was a different kind of contract when they signed him earlier this year. But when they signed him to a 10-day a little while ago, I don't think so. Maybe the funniest moment of the night was Stan Van Gundy looking at Taj try to get up and down the court, and what the hell did he say? Taj Gibson is absolutely exhausted out there. You don't say. You don't say. So big time effort from Taj. And then Charlie Brown Jr., who, look, he only made one shot. He made the 1-3. I don't know. I thought he looked more or less like an NBA player out there. That's a moment. Nice little audition for Charlie Brown Jr. So good job by him. So all of that, I think, I don't know what else there is to say about the game itself, but I'm happy to take any comments. Just, I mean, couldn't be prouder of the team. If you're anything other than proud to be a Knicks fan tonight, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. So that's that. The OG injury, I did a little thing. I put that out. We put that out on our social channels and whatever. It's on the YouTube a little while before the game. Obviously, there's a part of it that's definitely unfortunate, and yet you look at it in the context of what they did today with OG apparently going to try to resume basketball activities in 3 weeks. So this is like extraordinarily minimal surgery. And you look at like the downside versus the upside. I get it's weird to say upside and surgery in the same sentence, but like it seems like they got this taken care of and it's not going to be a problem anymore. And now whenever he gets back on the court, he's going to be good to go. Whereas the alternative approach, which is you manage it as best as you can until the off season when he would have gotten surgery. You don't have to worry about that now. It's done. It's taken care of. So hopefully when he comes back, he doesn't feel any ill effects. I don't think he will. And it's just going to be a matter of, getting him back into the fold, getting him ramped up, getting him used to his new teammates. There's, I'm sure, going to be some gelling to go on again. So I'm not, and it was nice to just have some finality. I mean, the day-to-day into like being ruled out a day before and now to like, it's nice to have some clarity and finality on that. And again, it can't be said enough. We talked about it a lot earlier, but just really drives the point home. They needed to make a trade today. And then I'm sure that's, going to be a big topic of the evening for anybody who maybe was actually at work today. God bless you. Who didn't get a chance to chime in on the trade earlier. Long story short, I'm a massive fan of it. I'm a massive fan of it from just about every angle. I'm not going to sit here and be like, there's absolutely no downside to this trade. I mean, you're acquiring 2 older players for sure. You're giving up your, a much younger player, a guy who still has some upside. And yeah, I mean, it's but no trade's ever perfect, because if a trade was perfect, like the other team would make it. Like the other team has to get something out of it, and Detroit's getting to take a flyer on Quentin Grimes, and they're also going to save themselves some money because unlike the Knicks, who want to have the continuous soup available to them, the Detroit Pistons are going to accumulate all of this cap space to do what exactly? I haven't the foggiest idea. But the fact that they will be able to exercise their team option and send Fournier on his merry way is a benefit to them. So they got stuff out of it, but the Knicks got 2 guys who, I mean, I'd be utterly shocked if Burks and Bogdanovich don't play 30 minutes on Saturday night each, not total, each. And they're going to be good for the rest of the regular season for this team. They're going to be versatile. You could start them. You could bring them off the bench. You could play them as, your 2 primary offensive creators on a bench unit. You could play them off the ball alongside Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle. Like there is no limit to what you could do with these guys. They give you a puncher's chance. With this addition, the Knicks have a real puncher's chance in the East now. Maybe more. Actually, that's not even fair to say. They had a puncher's chance probably, maybe before this trade. Now it's more than a puncher's chance. Now it's like, if they're healthy going into the playoffs, if they are fully healthy going into the playoffs, A, no one's going to want to play this team, and B, that like they have what it takes, like they really have what it takes to beat anybody. And I think that includes Boston. Not saying they'd be favored, not saying they should be favored. They should not. Boston is a different animal. But there's no, I don't see, just me, I don't see a glaring weakness on this team. And now that they have made this move. And so, you know what? We'll see. And as it ultimately is going to come down to Jalen Brunson, because everything always comes down to him because he's their guy. So they need to get him back on the floor. I hope to God he's on the floor on Saturday, because I would really like to get that game off the Pacers, who, by the way, lost tonight. So that's pretty nice. But anyway, yeah, and then just moving forward, we drove this point home so much earlier. It's been driven home by everybody who has talked about this trade. The Knicks remain as ripe for a potential big move, quote unquote, big move, as anyone in the league. So it's really well set up for you if you're a Knicks fan and you want to root for this team to do some special things this year and in the years to come. Don't think I have anything else. Angel Claudio, you want to join me up here as we kick off the remainder of the show?
Sure, I'd love to. I do have a disagreement with you.
And that would be?
So I joined the watch along crew tonight of Benji, DJ, and XJ, and we saw that fourth quarter run that they made. I thought the two-way contract that looked good tonight was Jacob Toppin, specifically on the defensive end. And all of us kind of co-signed it, that he was actually playing good defense on Luka. DJ did tone down the excitement at one point to be like, he has not made an offensive NBA move yet. Like, this is a guy that clearly does not have offensive NBA skills yet, but I actually thought he did a pretty good job on Luka and making him work in the fourth quarter.
He had a few nice defensive possessions on Luka Doncic, which
the league has not had many nice defensive possessions.
I understand
Luka
that.
Doncic, John.
No,
I thought Charlie Brown Jr. had a shot that his jump shot looks like Halliburton, but worse.
It's not great. Yeah. It's not great. Look, they're two-way players for a reason, you know.
I thought your head coach should have swapped the G League minutes tonight, but no.
Oh, given Toppin, yeah. No, you're right. I was burying the lead. This loss is on Tibbs for sure.
It is. I'm glad you finally see our side.
I do.
You're learning what jumping out the window means. We react to every loss by blaming the head coach.
Is that what the technical definition is?
Yes.
I do want to at least note that two teams that got blown out by way more points than the Knicks lost by tonight and did not show nearly the fight that the Knicks did, despite the fact that they have a lot more talent available to them, are the Pacers and Bucks. So Bucks lost. They're still tied with the Knicks. Knicks in a tie for third, but we're now, us and the Bucks are 2 games behind Cleveland because the Cavs just don't lose games anymore. They've won 8 in a row. And the Pacers lost. They're now 4.5 behind the Knicks, and I'm still keeping one eye on the Pacers. I let me put it this way: every time I see the Pacers lose, I get very happy, which I think is fine.
I have a different perspective on that because I'm nowhere near as respectful of the Pacers as you are. They're now a half a game ahead of the Heat.
That's interesting. Yeah,
I would not like to play the Heat in the first round, just for my sanity. I would not like
and the Magic.
Right. So,
Heat and the Magic are tied.
Heat and the Magic, if you want to say that. I'm eyeing the Heat. I would be fine playing the Magic in a first to 95 matchup obviously with the Knicks weapons. But yeah. I would not like the 3-6 matchup between the Knicks and the Heat. I would sign up for the Pacers or the Magic any day. Just to avoid the agita that would take. I just absolutely. Like I obviously bet on the Knicks to win that series, but I'd be like afraid to bet on the Knicks I would bet on me being like frustrated throughout it. Speaking of things you could bet on, Jonathan.
I love it. Betting and sweating, our segment that we do after every game, courtesy of our very, very, very good friends at Prize Picks. You can go to prizepicks.com/KFS and use code KFS for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, it is prizepicks.com/KFS. And then put in the code KFS for your first deposit match. Again, up to $100. Daily fantasy sports made easy. I am curious which way you guys went with this, and here we go. Okay, so GMAC up top, I believe, with the Kyrie bet. Is that correct? You're on mute, by the way.
Yes, that is me.
You went over Kyrie Irving, 33.5 points and assists. So you get the points and the assists. Unfortunately, you did not come close on this one. I don't know that.
Off night for Mr. Irving.
He wasn't really involved in the game, if we're being honest.
Something about New York. He just didn't have a shot.
Luka Doncic, I can't even read. It's over 53 something.
Points, rebounds, assists. It hit.
Yeah,
very much so.
Considering the dude nearly had a 40-point triple-double.
That is Luka. XJ, which I'm still mad at XJ because of the long day we had of reacting and live streaming and editing that I went through. Every time I went to the Prize Picks app to be like, all right, let me just make my pick because I want to take the Luka over. And I kept getting distracted. And what finally beat me was I was like, all right, I have time. I'm going to go look at it. And I'm staring at the screen. And he texts in his pick. Like, that's our rule. Whoever texts in their pick first, they get it. And he texts this exact one. So bravo to you, XJ. You hit.
That's annoying. Next up is Sean with a W?
Isaiah Hartenstein is Sean with a W, yes.
Yeah, okay. So he went more than 29.5 points, rebounds, assists. Hartenstein did not get that because, again, he only played 15 minutes in this game. The latest thing to monitor, Isaiah Hartenstein's Achilles. How much is this going to continue to bother him moving forward? For anybody who may have missed it, up and going on recently, Mitchell Robinson slated to resume on-court activities, I guess much like OG Anunoby, but even a little bit sooner, after the All-Star break. So what does that mean? Does that mean we can see Mitch back in uniform, 2 weeks after the All-Star break? I don't know. But it's encouraging because they're gonna need him. And then last but not least, I'm happy somebody took this. Mensa over or more than, I keep correcting myself, more than 25.5 points, rebounds, and assists for Deuce McBride. And despite the fact that he went only 1 of 8 from long range, Deuce McBride, 18 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists for the over. I got to tell you, I'm shocked nobody did a Josh Hart thing.
So I wasn't eligible because we have a new rule. You're not allowed to take the same player in back-to-back games.
Okay.
XJ and I put on our wagers early because we had pregame responsibilities to take care of. And Knicks, because the Knicks didn't release their lineup until like an hour before the game or like half hour before the game, Prize Picks did not have Knicks picks available on the board.
Okay.
So Sean went with his words, not mine. He went with the Black Jokic and Isaiah Hartenstein, and then Mensa went with Deuce. So
that's fantastic.
Yes.
Okay. Well, good stuff. Went 2-2. So good job by you guys.
Not bad. Not bad whatsoever. Thank you to Prize Picks as always. One final time, head on over to prizepicks.com and use promo code KFS for a first deposit match up to $100. The big game is this Sunday. So they have some picks available, some hot picks, I believe they call them, where it's like so it's kind of like starter. Like they want to get you an easy one on the board in your wagers. So you could take Patrick Mahomes more than like 0.5 passing yards for the big game on Sunday. You could take like Christian McCaffrey more than 0.5 rushing yards. In fact, Saturday night, when John is doing the post game, maybe he'll walk through some of the big game wagers that are available on the Prize Picks. So
I don't know what game you're talking about.
Yes, hopefully he intends to watch said big game.
I'm gonna watch the big game.
Yeah, you gonna like do a party with the fam or anything like that?
We'll bounce around Brooklyn, probably.
You actually are gonna go out for the night. That's good.
Okay,
I'm going to Long Island. Hopefully, I don't catch nothing.
We'll dabble. As long as I get to see a few shots of Taylor, we're gonna be happy here in the Macri household.
Y'all are Swifties? I didn't know that.
Well, I'm not, but the
Mrs.
the women in the house are.
Oh, so it's like it's true. You live with 3 women. Okay, so it's like a collective.
One of them is not yet 3 years old and doesn't know who Taylor Swift is, but the other two absolutely.
I would not put it past Izzy to already be a Swiftie. She starts them young.
young.
Yeah.
No, I mean I've come to appreciate her. I'll say that. The more because I listen obviously to a lot of her songs because my wife and daughter love her, and I have a 180 degrees different opinion of her than I did probably a year ago at this time. So, yeah.
I
enough
have
tea
no
Swizzy
comment
talk.
on Miss Swift and her music. Okay, let's journey into the super chats. Let's see if we can get this under an hour. We've had a long day of live streaming.
Listen, man, I'm happy to if people are tired and they're like, I'm good, you know what? I'm good too. All right, Deadward 604. How you doing, Deadwards? Thanks for getting us kicked off here. Love the heart of these guys staying in this game tonight. Shout out to Jason Kidd for rocking the George Costanza ladies frames too. Oh my god. My favorite moment of the night was when the Knicks cut it to 8 points with about 3 minutes and change to go. They showed a shot of Jason Kidd on the bench just looking like he was not having any fun at all whatsoever. And I really enjoyed that. Not that, look, once a Knick, always a Knick. Jason Kidd, I always appreciate what he did for the 2012-13 team. Was an instrumental part of that team's success for as much as he forgot how to shoot or jump towards the end of the year. So, yeah, but it was fun seeing him stressed out. Robert W. Cross. Hello, Robert. It's your boy, John. Is Fuck Them Kids the official anthem of Leon Rose? I had a feeling we were going to get one of these. I mean, Robert says that in jest. And here's another one from Robert. First time, long time, it's your boy, John. Are you surprised we didn't move off Kevin's bloated contract? A third rounder in return would have been fine with me. Yeah, that's one of those contracts that makes you wish the NBA still had more than 2 rounds in the draft. I mean, I think the functional equivalent these days would be a top 55 protected second rounder. As for your first comment, look, I know you well enough to know that you're saying it in jest / trying to get under my skin a little bit. The plan, forget the plan, actually. The goal when Leon Rose took over was to build a contending basketball team. And I think, and by the way, build a contending basketball team that was going to genuinely excite and inspire New Yorkers and get the feeling back into the city that hadn't really had a lot since the 90s. But more than that, do so without ever bottoming out. And that challenge to do that, to reach, and I'm not saying the Knicks are at the pinnacle, but to get to this point where we're sitting here and we're like, man, we're 2 games back of second place. Gosh, God damn it. That's where we're at right now. Where we're like we're like kind of annoyed that we're 2 games back of second. That speaks volumes about where this organization is and how far that they've come. Again, without bottoming out, and more than without bottoming out, without sacrificing your future draft equity. I don't want to sit here and go through all the teams that have mortgaged first round draft assets to turn themselves into mediocre teams at best. Just look in the East playing, range, that bracket. Look at the Bulls, look at the Hawks. I mean, shit, look at the Lakers, honestly. I'm sure there's a couple other teams that I'm forgetting about. I mean, the Mavs won tonight, but the Mavs aren't exactly, out of the woods yet. And there's all these teams out there that just mortgage their future and I understand the Knicks have traded away their young players. You can't have it all. And I know we've had this conversation before, Robert, and I know a lot of people have had this conversation before, and I hope they kind of are starting to see the light now, which is that there's nothing cooler than when a young player that you drafted gets to stay on board for the entire journey. That's kind of, unless that player blossoms into a superstar or even an all-star, that's very rare. And we got one, by the way. We do have one. Mitchell Robinson, your boy. It's your boy Mitch. He's still here. And that's because he is a special player at the center position. And you know what? If there were maybe some different circumstances and Leon Rose's godson, instead of topping out at 6'1", instead topped out at 6'5" or 6'6" or 6'7", then I bet you Emmanuel Quickly might still be here too. But unfortunately for that, Jalen Brunson is the size that he is, and we know what that meant. So it's difficult choices you have to make when you're trying to do what Leon Rose is trying to pull off. I can't imagine. I can't express how much credit I think he deserves for the job that he has done, to say nothing of the fact that he has done it in a place where front office executive after front office executive has come here and been made to look like just clowns. And is it that we always hire the wrong people, or is it that this place has been historically a very difficult place to be successful for a lot of years now? It's probably a little bit both. And so for Rose to do what he's done, special stuff. Speak of the devil, Kevin Danishevsky, like the fight. Please be okay, Isaiah. We so need let's see, ASB. ASB.
Really think about it.
The All-Star break.
I knew it would come to you.
It's been a long day.
I agree.
A long day. We do need the All-Star break. However, I'm not fast-forwarding to that point quite as much as I was before this trade. I want to get 2 of these next 3 games. That's greedy. Am I being greedy? Absolutely, I'm being greedy. I want to get 2 of these next 3 games. DDV can freaking score. I like Deuce's game tonight. Yeah, I thought Deuce did some nice things. The threes weren't falling. Hart with an uneven game despite the 3, the triple-double, needs to chill. Look, that's Josh Hart. The more you know what Josh Hart is? I'll give you what Josh Hart is. Josh Hart is, forget a Jenga tower. If anybody has spent any time with their young child playing blocks, you could, doesn't matter what surface you're putting them on, doesn't even matter what kind of blocks you're using. You put a few blocks on top of each other, they're going to be pretty sturdy. 3, 4, 5. Once you get up to a certain level, it's going to become shakier and shakier and shakier and shakier. And that's Josh Hart. And that's like a lot of role players in the league. The more you give them to do, the shakier they're going to be. And I think Josh Hart has been overextended, not only in terms of what he's being asked to do and what he has been asked to do, but in how many minutes he's had to play. And if you doubt me on that, just go listen to Josh Hart, because he'll tell you all about it on his podcast, as well as in media interviews in the locker room. So there you go. Christopher Halecki, what's going on, Chris? I'm looking forward to seeing the team at full strength. Me and you both, man. Again, they're going to have multiple NBA players. When they are at full strength, they're going to have multiple real, actual, honest-to-goodness NBA rotation players who are not going to be playing minutes for them. I think that's the reality. Especially come playoff time. But yeah, I'm excited to see what they look like. And I think really, obviously you're excited to see Brunson play with some of the new guys. I'm excited to see Randall with some of these new additions, because I think the one thing that we could say about Julius through now 4.5 years with him here in New York the better, the more talent you put around him, the better talent, the more functional talent you put around him, the better off he's gonna look, and the better he's gonna look, the better off he's gonna perform. So I'm excited for that too. Thanks, Chris. Busy, what's going on, Busy? Who was that random hosting the post game the other night, and when do I get my chance? That. Do you want to take this?
First of all, that random is accomplished broadcaster, WFAN alum, and New York Giants radio staple, John Schmeelk, who is a friend of the pod and did an amicable job. In fact, not even just an amicable job.
Better than amicable.
Probably one of the best hosting jobs that this channel has ever seen. That's just a testament to how good he is at his job. So shout out to Schmeelk again for filling in. I love that the chat is calling him Bill Burr. That's just outstanding nicknaming. And Busy, when Carmelo Anthony signs a 10-day, how's about that? I'll let you host that night. Just to give you an idea.
Thanks, Busy. Appreciate you.
I do appreciate you, Busy, as always.
We do.
And thank you, John Schmeelk, again for filling in on Saturday.
Manny Campos, what's going on, Manny? Couldn't catch the trade stream live, but I want to give a shout out to Troy Weaver for being the unsung hero of the Knicks future championship. D Rose, cap space for Brunson, and now Bogey and Burks. Hashtag real one. Yeah, man. The Pistons, man. I mean, again, they got all this cap space that they're opening up. I'm not sure how I could imagine feeling like a Pistons fan today. Again, it's not that like the trade itself was awful. You know, like Bogey's a 35-year-old player. Like, I don't think he was fetching a first-round pick or like a good young player by himself. Alec Burks was not fetching a good young player or a first-round pick by himself. And yet it just looks so like it looks so bad because this move from a Knicks perspective, it's like, oh, we made the perfect trade with the right team or for the right guys. And we gave up something that, again, no one's saying Quentin Grimes is invaluable, but it's like in terms of like what we could afford to lose, it made sense for us, for the Knicks. And then just from Detroit, it's a whole different thing. And you know, I think not to bring it back to like the dark days here, but this is what happens when you have a complete and total lack of cohesion and leadership at the top. And like we kind of heard that there was some disagreements over the summer about who they should hire as coach, and then they obviously pay up Monty Williams all this money, and you know Monty has a say, and like their front office has a say, and then the owner's trying to sort all that out, and it's not what you want. It's not conducive to winning. So I genuinely do feel bad for Pistons fans. They do have some talented young players on the team. I don't know. Look, you can turn things around quick in the NBA if you know what you're doing and you get a little luck. But you know, I don't know if they're going to get lucky or if they know what they're doing completely. Dwayne Barlow, what's going on, Dwayne? If this is the absolute floor of this team for the foreseeable future, I can get behind the thought of being contenders right now. Hashtag, I love you, KFS. I think that's what it is. And hashtag, let's fucking go Knicks. I love it. That's a great comment there. Thank you, Dwayne. Yeah, his team's. I'm really excited for what lies ahead. This was game. That was this game 51, 52,
52,
52. So only 30 to go until the playoffs. So that's, man, time flies. So yeah, I'm excited for these last 30. I'm excited for them to get the All-Star break. I'm excited to get the All-Star break. But after that, yeah, the home stretch. 2 of the last 3 years when Tibbs has had some good teams, they tend to perform admirably on the stretch run and perform at their best on the stretch run. He talks openly about how you condition your body, you condition your mind for not only the regular season but the playoffs. And I think we're in for nice finish. Thanks, Dwayne. Zelly, first time, long time. Welcome aboard. I had my annual raise this morning and then spent most of the day following the trade deadline and listening to KFS. Go Knicks. And your annual raise this morning, and your thank you to your job was to not do your job. That's great. That makes me so happy. Yeah. Good job by you, Zelzeli, and welcome aboard. Thank you. Greg B, what's going on, Greg? How are you? Thanks for the generous contribution. Can only hope the Knicks don't slide too far while getting healthy. That's again why I cited the Pacers loss tonight, and I didn't cite Philly's record, but we're 2 ahead of Philly. It's not that I'm not worried about Philly. You still got to respect them, but I don't know. I have some confidence that I think we could stay ahead of Philly. Goal is not the 2 seed, it is to make the playoffs, make noise, contend for the Eastern Conference Finals. My belief is at an all-time high. We've been through worse. Let's go, Knicks. Great trade. One thing that I wonder, one thing that I wonder about, and talk about getting way ahead of ourselves, considering Boston's going to be the one, almost certainly. I mean, I'd be shocked if they weren't. Although, if Cleveland just doesn't lose again, maybe they'll be the one. If assuming Boston's the one, I wonder how much jockeying there will be when we get to, if there will be the opportunity to jockeying when we get to playoff time, or like right before playoff time, to avoid the 4 or 5. And I wonder if there's a world where maybe there's a team in 5th that tries to fall down to 6th. And depending on how bunched up that'll be, like this was kind of the case in the Western Conference last year. We're going into the last weekend of the season. You had teams that there were scenarios where they could finish I think 2nd or 3rd, and there were scenarios where that same team would finish in the play-in. So I think the difference this year is I think we're gonna, despite Andrew's fears about Miami, I think we're gonna have a pretty solid top 6. I could be wrong. You could tell me Miami catches Indiana. It wouldn't shock me. By the way, Orlando didn't do anything today, which I just realized. In Miami, they already made their move. They made the Rozier move. So that's interesting. And we haven't really talked about, Indiana got worse, which is, I thought, interesting. You get why they did it and all that. They're going to get a nice high 2nd-round pick this year, but Indiana got worse. I mean, Buddy Hield was imperfect for a number of reasons. That's why he had kind of fallen out of favor to a certain extent there. But I don't know. I think they'd rather have him than not, and they kind of made a forward-thinking move. So that was interesting. Thank you, Greg. Appreciate that. Zach Horowitz, what's going on, Zach? MB equals meatball equals Luka. Another one from Zach. MB coming back in because our boys fought was nice. MB making stupid faces when scoring on 2-way players is why he's a meatball. So proud of the boys, though. Hate seeing sequence of trash calls due to meatball at MSG. I'm not going to be too harsh against meatball, because if meatball ever gets wandering eyes, I would very much like his eyes to wander over to the friendly confines of Madison Square Garden. I'll tell you that right now. Y'all want me to quit my, irrational Joel Embiid obsession? Give me one news item, one remotely credible rumor that Luka Doncic, looks at the idea of playing at MSG full time as a welcome opportunity. But no, he's insanely talented. But yes, he is a meatball. So good call by you there, Kevin Danishevsky. Tim Hardaway Jr., far and away my least favorite former Knick now. I That's harsh.
What did Timmy do?
I mean, he's made some threes tonight. He has played well against us during several of these games.
I guess.
By the way, the Knicks' most shorthanded game last year came against the
Dallas Mavericks in the 13,884 game.
Great. And the Knicks' most shorthanded game this season came against the
Dallas Mavericks.
My only explanation for that, I don't even know if you were there the night that I'm about to mention, but the first joint watch, it was not a KFS watch party.
I was there.
Okay. I apologize. It was a long time ago. My memory is shit, as you know. This was the KP return game to MSG. It happened. It was November. It was, I think the Knicks were 2-7, 8, 9, or whereabouts, whatever they were. And we had this watch party. The KP, like the whole Mavs thing, it was looking good, and the Knicks were obviously looking like trash. So again, this is back in 2019-20 season, and I remember going into that night, I was like, Lord, you could have just give me tonight, just whatever deal with you or Satan, if that's what it took. I'll I'll make whatever deal you need me to make. Just can we get this freaking win tonight? And they won, that game. And I think I'm paying for it now.
Jalen Brunson now 0-4. His team is now 0-4 against the Mavericks since he came here, which, I mean, we were talking about this on the pregame pod today, that it's almost the inverse of when Porzingis got traded, and he started 1-5 against the Knicks until he got traded.
You might have to double check this for me. I don't know if there's going to be a way you're going to be able to do this quick. I think maybe the current longest losing streak the Knicks have against any team in the league is against the Mavs.
You know what?
I looked at this earlier this season. For what reason, I could not begin to tell you. But
they've only lost 3 straight against the Celtics, right?
I believe so, because I believe they won their last game against the Celtics last year.
They did. That was the Quickly game at the Garden.
Yeah. So
they've lost 3 straight against Orlando.
Yeah, I looked it up earlier in the year. I think because they had a losing streak against Milwaukee that obviously they've now ended. So, yeah.
Okay. This is my new project. I'm going to go to the next super chat.
Okay, sounds good.
This is my new project.
Sam Garcia, great compete level tonight from the boys. 100%. Gave you everything. Gave you everything that you could have asked for. I know there's no such thing as moral victories in sports, but tonight was a moral victory. Thank you, Sam. Hamdi. Jesus Christ. Hamdi, you do this sometimes. You come out of nowhere. You're like Leon. It's like you're quiet, and then all of a sudden, boom. Talk softly and carry a big stick? I think was that a political phrase at one point in our country's history. I want to say maybe attributed to a Roosevelt. I could be way off. I know I was not alive. For anybody wondering, I was not alive when either of the Roosevelts were in office. So, Hamdi M. Hey, John, long day for you. Thank you. Yeah, I'll get back to my long day in a second. Point for today. In the pregame pod, which I apologize I did not get a chance to listen to. I'm going to try to catch that tomorrow. Shout out to GMAC. You realized all the issues with Dallas as an organization, even with Luka. I realized how good our leadership is. Not perfect, but we are in a good place. So this is for you, buddy.
Well, thank you, Hamdi M. And I think that was my big takeaway from the pregame pod was Kirk Henderson, who runs Mavs Moneyball, was very detailed in all the missteps pretty much since they've made that conference final. Which ironically, they made that conference final, and a lot of their missteps go back to the Porzingis trade. That the moves they made during that season were to get off of Porzingis. They hit lightning in a bottle, and like Brunson taking a leap, and Dinwiddie and Bertans like just fitting like a glove into their rotation, and he has his annoyances about the 4 for 55 that got brought up, and I don't know. He didn't say he was worried about Luka leaving, but it was very much like a medium on it. And if he were to leave, it's because they continue to be as incompetent as they've been over the past bunch of years. Which, I mean, he then said to me, I then just said to him at one point, like, you're describing a front office that's not, being very competent around their superstar. And, you can, when you listen, you can hear the answer he gave.
I mean, look, they made... Make sure I think this fully through before I speak out of turn. They made one of the 4 best draft picks of the last 40 years. And I say that particularly because you don't get credit for drafting Shaq first or drafting LeBron first or whatever. And unless I'm missing something, it's them managing to parlay the 5th pick into Luka Doncic, Giannis at 15, my God, Jokic at what was it, 30 something?
What, it was 41? Yeah,
41, and then Steph at 7. I think those are the 4. You don't usually get those caliber of players.
Can I give you a hot take?
What?
The Luka pick of that draft wasn't even the best Mavs pick of that draft.
Is it Brunson?
Jalen Brunson at 33. They got an all-star, might make All-NBA this season. Yeah. They made 2 great draft picks that draft. I'm actually curious. The trivia I'd be curious to look up is how many times a team has drafted 2 all-stars in the same draft.
Oh, that's a good one. Horace never made an all-star team, right?
Horace Grant? Yeah, he did.
Yeah. He made one? Well, then that's one.
So Horace Grant was drafted the same year as Pippen. Oh, so there you go.
So.
Bulls.
Unless I double check my memory. I think they were. But yeah, I don't think it's probably hasn't happened very often. But yeah, and they made that pick, and they made the Brunson pick, and that they've managed to cluster fuck it up. It's not great. It's not what you want. But thank you, Hamdi, for the shout out to GMAC's pregame pod. And for me, it has indeed been a long day. I was alone with both of my daughters today from when I picked them up. I basically went from one live stream to the putback to going to pick up both of my girls to being alone with them until my wife got home tonight at I think about 9:30. So this was, but got both kids fed. Healthy, nutritious meal. Both kids bathed. Homework was done. A little extra math practice was done. Nobody injured themselves that I know of. No poisons were ingested that I know of. So, solid day here at the Macri household.
Just a quick clarification. So technically, it's the exact same instance as what the Mavericks did, in that it was a draft day trade for Scottie Pippen.
Yeah, the Knicks pick.
They had the
Knicks pick went to Seattle, and then they acquired the pick from Seattle, right?
Yes, they got the 5th pick, which was Scottie Pippen from Seattle. They took Olden Polynice. There's a name for you. I
remember Olden Polynice.
I do too.
Solid player, not Scottie Pippen.
But it's literally the exact same thing. And imagine having that kind of success, which is similar to the Dynasty Bulls. And here you are struggling with the shorthanded Knicks on a Thursday night.
Yeah, struggling with the shorthanded Knicks, and you're, for your troubles. What's that?
And they're the 8th seed.
I was about to say, and for your what do you get? You're 8th.
Yeah, not what you want.
Not a deal. Robert W. Cruz. It's first time, long time. It's your boy John. Can you give me an 8-man playoff rotation for our run to the finals? Let's go Knicks. An 8-man? No, I can't give you an 8-man. I give you a 9-man. Why do you need an 8-man? I think the beauty of this trade is the fact that they don't need to pick and choose right now. The one thing I will say that's interesting And this is why I really do wonder. I really do wonder about the playoff rotation. I think Burks is going to play because Burks. I think he's going to be the backup point guard. I mean, I think Deuce will play probably for the rest of the year because I think they're going to be dealing with injuries and whatnot. So, like, Deuce McBride will be the nominal backup point guard. He's not playing in the playoffs. Burks will be your backup point guard in the playoffs, I would guess. I could be wrong. That's my guess. So if does he just get the minutes that Brunson sits and that's it? I don't know about that. Alec Burks is good. Like, I don't know, he shouldn't be playing 20 minutes a game in playoffs, but he's good. Do we really think that Bogey would get a DNP? I don't know about that. I don't think that's the case. That dude, I can't wait to see him. I'm excited for Alec to come back. Obviously I love Alec Burks. I'm really excited to see Bogey back on a team that matters. I'm really excited to see that because it's been a while. It's been too long. And that dude, I think he has something left to give. So I don't think it's going to be him. I think it's going to be a 9-man rotation. And maybe it's not a lot of Burks. Maybe it's not a lot of Josh Hart. Would it be that crazy if Josh Hart turns into a guy that plays like 6-7 minutes and a half? I don't know. Maybe that's nuts. Maybe that's crazy. But it's hard for me to watch what DiVincenzo's doing now with the shooting and then think about Bogey and what he could add and then just pencil in Josh Hart for 25 minutes in a playoff game. Maybe I'm going to be made to look ridiculous. It wouldn't be the first time, as you well know, Robert. But these are interesting questions. And also matchup dependent questions. For sure. Robert with another one. It's your boy John. Do we have to be worried about a fallout with the Nova crew with Arcidiacono being sent off to Motor City? No. Ryan Arcidiacono, the Knicks kept him on until his contract guarantee date, which was, oh my goodness. I'll save this for a second from now. Oh wow. That's too bad. So Ryan Arcidiacono got paid this year. It doesn't matter what happens to him for the rest of the year. His contract's get fully guaranteed. I think you'll see Ryan again on this team. Not this year, but I think you'll see him again. He can't be on this team next year or this year because it's you can't go back to the team unless you get moved to a third team after you're traded. You can't go back to the team that traded you away for 6 months. The reason I was like sad, the Hornets are waiving Frank Ntilikina. Yeah, that's too bad. That's too bad. I hope Frank ends up with another team. I said it the other night. I still kind of feel like maybe there's a better pathway for him to play hashtag meaningful minutes in Europe. Just seems like more his style of play anyway. But yeah, we'll see. Zach Horowitz, what's going on, Zach? Tim Hardaway Jr. is the worst. Could be a good player, but he also has to be fourth, fifth fiddle and only make wide open shots. How Josh Hart got his groove back. Shot looked money. $4.99 super chats won't process. FYI, is it just me? I don't know.
I have no idea, Zach. That is a YouTube bug, and I apologize. And I appreciate you going the extra mile to
thank you, Zach.
Send in the extra. So
sorry.
It's a YouTube bug. They've been acting up lately. So, and Robert's in the chat saying it's my fault that I specifically prohibited $4.99 chat, so that way you had to go to the $9.99 tier.
Hey, listen,
greedy capitalist I am.
That's why you make the big bucks. I thought Josh, man, if Josh Hart could get his shot back because of making a few tonight, wouldn't that be nice? I loved seeing him fire away. I have to think that this is the most threes that Josh Hart attempted 8 threes tonight. When's the last time Josh Hart attempted 8 threes in a game? Has Josh Hart ever attempted 8 threes in a game? I could probably look that up pretty
Didn't
easily.
he just do it against the Lakers?
He put up 8?
I thought so. I know he put up a ton. I mean, it felt like 100, but that's just me personally. I put up 6 against the Lakers. I'm way off.
No, yeah, Josh Hart's previous career high. I mean, he's attempted early in his career. He attempted 12 threes in a game. He attempted 11 threes in a game. It's certainly his Knick high. He's never put up before tonight more than 6 threes in a game. Tonight, put up 8. And then as far as Hardaway Jr., I'll just say he's a player I'm happy I don't have on my team anymore. That's all. He's a good player, not someone I want to root for. Sam Garcia's dad. What's going on, Sam Garcia's dad? I'm a fan of making trades to win now, but the exodus of homegrown kids after today leaves me wondering whether we've gone too far. Grimes could be an important player on a winner longer than Bojan Bogdanovic or Alec Burks. It goes without saying that Quentin Grimes is going to have a longer career than those guys. I understand the frustration to a certain extent. I think my response to you would be no team, if you could avoid it, wants to abandon their ability to re-inject new blood into your roster and ideally your rotation. There are different ways to do that. And I think one way to do that is to maintain draft capital. And that's the thing about where the Knicks are at right now, where they still have, I believe, 9 second-round picks over the coming years, all of their own firsts over the coming years, and these 4 protected picks over the coming years. So, well, yes, the 4 first-round pick young players that were on this team are all gone. I do think it was necessary. All of those guys, with the exception of Obi, which we don't have to go down the Obi road at this point, but I mean, it was a missed pick. But you still have Mitch here. You still have Deuce here playing, rotation minutes for you. Duke played 45 minutes tonight. So from that perspective, and they also, by the way, got Deuce on a great contract. And part of that was because this is a guy you drafted, you see behind the scenes, you know what he's about, you know his work ethic. That's important. They need to get more Deuce McBrides and ideally more like Mitchell Robinson level players in their system and more Quentin Grimes level players. And in a perfect world, more like Emmanuel Quickley level players in their system. But similar to what I said earlier, if you draft a superstar, you retain that player at all costs. If you draft an all-star, borderline all-star level player, you almost always try to keep that guy around unless you really need to send them out the door for a once-in-a-lifetime or, sort of opportunity. And that's, I think, what we saw with OG Anunoby. So it's difficult choices need to be made when you're building a team, and this is where the Knicks are at. So it's reality. LE54. Is Hartenstein okay? I hope so. I mean, this is going to be something he's probably going to have to manage the rest of the year, which is another reason they need Mitch to come back. He's a tough guy. I think he's going to be okay. Brando, what's going on, Brando? Discount on an OG extension due to the injury history. I don't know if I'd say discount. First of all, let's see what happens the rest of the year. Let's see if he stays healthy. Let's see how he performs in the playoffs. Let's see how the Knicks perform in the playoffs. I think you're going to get something starting around 30, 31, 32, whatever, and then escalating. I think it's going to be I think it's going to wind up being 5 for 180. It's kind of been my feeling for a while. But with, with raises. I think I said this recently. I'll say it again. The question is it going to be like 5 for 180, and that could go up to like 200 if he hits likely bonuses, or is it going to be if he hits unlikely bonuses, or is it going to be 5 for 160 maybe with a partial guarantee on the last year or last year option of some kind, or is it 5 for 160 with some likely bonuses that get you to 5 for 180? I don't think there's any. Like, I know this is probably the biggest disagreement that I have with Jeremy right now is Jeremy thinks that there's a world where he opts in to this next year of his contract and then signs the max extension off of that number. I am less. I just don't. I don't see that as a realistic possibility. Not by the way that wouldn't be a big number. I mean, still, at the end of the day, you're talking about he would make a total of 140, I think, over the whole contract over 5 years. If it's a 4-year extension off of that, it's a lot of money, I don't know. Listen, maybe Jeremy will be proven right. He's a lot smarter than I am, but I don't think you're getting that. I think you're gonna have to sign him to a new deal, and he's gonna opt out. Big B, what's going on, Big B? What if the Knicks got this Donte instead of Evan Fournier in 21-22? That's a very, very interesting question that I really don't know how to answer or wrap my mind around because they still signed Kemba. And the Kemba thing just very clearly did not work. And also, I don't know if Donte DiVincenzo was ready to be this level of player back then. Now, you say, what if they got this Donte? Okay. I mean, listen, he wasn't a great fit for the Knicks. I think it was partially that it was him sharing a backcourt with Kemba, who had a lot of the same weaknesses, different sorts of players, but a lot of the same weaknesses as Fournier. Fournier set the freaking club record for threes. So it's not like the guy stunk. It's just the fit wasn't great. That's all. Thanks, Big B.
So I ran a test, and 499 chats work. We got 3.
That's what she said. Thank you, Andrew, Claudio. Hashtag fire Tibbs. Thank you, Andrew Claudio, again. And Andrew Claudio for a third time. Tibbs needs to play top in more minutes. Hashtag evergreen super chats.
So, troubleshoot over. And sorry, Zach, that didn't work, but it might actually be just you.
I'm going to go tell our payroll person not to reimburse you for those super chats.
Don't worry, it won't. So go tell our payroll person.
Drew's a payroll.
Drew, yes, he's dual job. Hold on, one more super chat. I shouldn't be upset. Thank you, Kevin. No,
thanks, Kev. Frank just got waived. Hashtag play him more. Hashtag fire Tibbs. Let's end with this. I feel bad for Frank. Obviously, I feel bad for Frank. I mean, the kid's he's the nicest guy in the world from all indications. I do think that there was something fitting about on the day when like the entire NBA world somewhat uniformly looked at the Knicks and were like, holy shit, this team can fuck around and make a finals. On that day, the player who for multiple years on end was, I don't want to say all we had. For a lot of people out there, they were never in on Frank and like wanted nothing to do, but like he was it. Like in terms of the conversation, it was like, let's talk about Frank. Does he stink? Is he a godsend? And yet what was that player ultimately? He was a guy that is probably not an NBA player. And that is what we latched onto, our hopes and dreams for, again, years. And here we are. Fucking wild.
We were going through that on the playback tonight because I prepared a lot of trivia for what I thought was going to be a game that was uninteresting. And Tony Douglas was an answer. And we were going through guys that made 8 threes in a game in the 2010s. And Damian Dotson was also an answer. We're talking about the 2019 team. And Benji was like, that was my backcourt. It was Langston Galloway and Damian Dotson. I was like, look, it's competent front office team building. They found a steal in the draft, and I was like, we survived the Damian Dotson, Langston Galloway backcourt, so we could enjoy the Jalen Brunson, DiVincenzo backcourt.
Dude, do you have any idea how excited I got over Kadeem Allen?
Kadeem Allen came up. Yep.
Come on, man.
Lance Thomas is like the veteran, and it's like, oh, now look, Josh Hart.
Like, I mean, you could listen. We could throw out. I remember the day they signed Noah Vonleh, which was it traded for Noah Vonleh or signed Noah?
No,
Vonleh?
that was a signing. Him and Hazonia, and it's like, hey, they're buying high on guys that failed elsewhere.
Former top 10 picks. You know,
yep.
Vonleh was, what did he go, 8 to Charlotte, right? I think.
Yep. Hazonia went 6 to whatever team he went to, I think.
Yeah, and like that was the other thing. That was the other thought I had today. Like for yeah, we could go back and compare what's going on now to old Knicks history, and yeah, you could do that. But you could also just look around at the NBA today. Like you have a Charlotte Hornets franchise who, like Charlotte had a nice day today. Like they did some nice things, and they got Trey Mann, interesting young player. We'll see what happens there. Got some draft equity, the whole thing. But like they waived James Bouknight. You know, I'm not saying we got a whole lot more from Obi Toppin in terms of ultimately, traded away for 2 second-round picks. I get that, but at least Obi gave you something on the court. Like, they're like the way teams out there just completely mismanage stuff, and that all matters. And so, like, yeah, we could sit here today, and there may be a portion of all of us, I think, to some extent, that is a little sad that there's none of these young homegrown first-round picks on the team anymore. You got something out of all of these guys. You got something out of all of these guys on the court, and goodness knows you got something out of all these guys in the transaction game. So, and a lot of teams cannot say the same thing. So there you go.
Dallas certainly can't.
I mean, I don't want to shit on
them. They don't have to. It was a joke. That was just throwing shade. They got the W. Enjoy the 8th seed, fellas. We'll enjoy the second round.
I hope so. All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Please do like this video and subscribe to the Knicks Film School YouTube channel, which you're maybe watching right now. If you're listening to the podcast feed later, please give a 5-star rating and a review. We are back. I'm back this weekend, right? I'm on post game on Saturday, which will hopefully be a win. That'd be very nice, or at least get some guys in here. And I think that's it. All right.
Indeed.
Good show.
I should say, be on the lookout Saturday morning, maybe Friday night, but most likely Saturday morning for a very special edition of the pregame pod. I have something special planned.
Okie dokie.
And I'll leave it at that.
Great.